Kira, hello, good morning everyone. Today's video we will be talking about IAM services. Now, what is IAM services? IAM services all about identity and access management. It's all about giving users and group permissions, giving resources permissions to perform certain actions as recommended in the policy. So this is what we do in IAM services. Now, if you go on your AWS portal, you have a tool which is known as IAM. That is also here in my favorites. So you can click on this and you can have a look that it has got certain features enabled in it. So one of them, it has got users and groups on the left. Users, their roles, any policies, identity providers, settings for the account, root access. So anybody who creates an account on AWS is the root access manager. He has the permission of an administrator, or let's call it as he is a super user or a global user. You can create many users if you want, and you can associate groups to it. Now, groups can have many users. Remember this. Many groups can have many users. Many groups can nest users, but groups can never be nested. So always remember, groups can never be nested. So one group cannot be part of another group, but one user can be part of many groups. Any permissions given to the group will automatically be applied to the users. Then we have got a lot of other information here on the left, which is access analyzing or analyzer, organization activity, credential report, service control policy. So when we say service control policy, so this basically means that whatever is applied here from the top is applied to everyone in the organization. So how your policies are applied, that is basically it means is the service control policies, or in some terms we also call it as organization control policies too. Now going back to dashboard, this is how it looks like. On the right you have your account number, and this account number you can find it here. This is your account ID. So every user will have a 12-digit account ID. Now IAM services are global services. They are not local to the region. You can create alias if you want, and this is the sign in if you want to sign in directly from anywhere. So it is the user ID, which is this 12-digit .signin.aws.amazon.com, and it will sign you to the console. Security credentials, simulator for policies. I'll be showing you shortly how does it work. Then we have users. So for example, I have got two users here. These are two users. They were created on different times and they are inactive for XYZ period. You can create as many users as you want. You can import users if you want, and so on. So let's create a test user. We'll create a user. We'll give the name as test user, and we will provide access to the management console. And it says specify a user in identity center. Just leave everything to default. And this, if you want to create an IAM user and give programmatic access through access keys, etc. So we will just leave everything to default as of now, and we'll go to next. So let's go it here, and I want to create an IAM user. Let's create a password. Let's give a custom password, and I will give a custom password which should be 15 characters. So I'll use p@ss w0rd 1234 567. So this is the password that I'm using, and user must create a new password at next sign in. So this is a policy. Many times you see in the organizations that whenever the user signs in, they are required to create a new password on sign in. But I don't want it. But if you want, you can enable it, and whenever you will sign in next, it will ask you to change the password. So I will just disable this. I'll go to next. Now, do you want to add user to any group? I will say no. So I'm not attaching user to any group. I'm not copying any permissions. I'm not attaching any policies to it. So if I go on next, so user has got a name, a password, requires no password reset, and there is no policies attached to it. And I click create user. Now remember, you will only see this screen for the first time. Read this. You can view and download this password. This is the only time you can view and download this password. So if you forget this password, you have to reset your password. If you want to download your password in a console, you can download it and save it as a CSV file. So that is totally up to you. I'll leave the screen as it is. I'll open another tab and I will say click open link in new tab. So we have a new tab here. If I go to IAM, if I go to users, now I have got test user. I'll click on it and see it has got no permissions here. No permissions, part of no group, no tags, no security credentials, and when it was last exist. No MFA enabled. So multi-factor authenticator must be enabled for every resource. So we'll talk about it shortly. So what I mean to say here is, if I go to a new browser, which is here in Safari, and I open a new tab, and I go back here, I copy and paste. This is the IAM user, and this is the console sign in. I'll copy and paste this. So this is what I'll copy. This is what it is going to sign in. Username is test user, and this is the password. So I'll go here, I'll paste it, enter. It will ask me to enter the username, and the username is test-user, and the password is p@ssw0rd123456 So show password. This is the standard password I've taken, and I'll say sign in. Now see, I'm going to sign into this screen, but you will see something different on the screen. Everything you will see is now denied. Now remember, so it's all done, and anything that you see here has been denied. Access denied, access denied, access denied, and so on. If I click on EC2, everything will be denied. See, if I go back to previous screen, and I will go here and click on, for example, S3, everything is denied. So nothing will display. So if I say create bucket, it will, and if I try to create it, new bucket NZ0307, I think it is today 02, that is the date, and I just created, it will deny. Say failed to create bucket, permission is required. So you cannot do anything. Now what I wanted to show you here is, when you create a resource and you do not give any permissions to it, by default everything is denied. So you have to go here and manually give permissions to it. So if I go here and go to EC2 and I say I want to create a EC2 launch instance, it will not create an instance. So if I say AWS EC2 and I say instance type is T3 micro, see, no region, no permission, nothing. It will anyway fail because this region is not going to allow me to create anything for the service. So this is what happens with permissions. So if I go here and I go to return to users list now, that's okay. And if I go to policies or roles or permissions, so these are roles that are given here. Some of them are old roles, some of them are new roles. Policies. Anything that you see with an orange box is a system created policy. Many places you will see custom blue boxes. These are user created policies. There are around thousands of policies, and last one is 71st page. So you can go back and view them, and you can simply read them. So currently, as a super user, which is here, Madhouse, I'm a global administrator. I have got access for everything. Now this policy is written in JSON format. Now JSON is JavaScript object notation language, and JSON is basically a key value parameter. Everything is key, and every key has a value. And key can also have an array of values. So it says statement, effect is allow, action is any action, and resource is any action. So remember one thing, by default, everything is deny. If you have allow and deny in the policy, deny will have precedence over allow, which I will show you soon. So going back here, I will go here and I will search for EC2, and I say EC2 full access. I want to give this policy. I say create policy. The permissions, select a service where you want to perform. So either you can do it this way, choose a service for EC2, and I say all EC2 actions. So this is something I'm creating a manual policy. See, it is asking me to dependent permissions not selected. I'm just giving you an example. One is this way of doing it. Another one is, we'll come to this also shortly. If I go here and I say I want to give this user a role, and the role is I want to create a role for AWS service, and this is for EC2 service, and I say EC2, and I say next, and I say EC2 full access. Now this user will have a role where I am saying you can go and have access to this EC2 resources, and I give the role name as EC2 permissions test user, and I click create role. Now the role is created, and this role is automatically assigned to that. So if I go here and I say EC2, you will see a role has been created for test user. Now if I go here on this test user and I go here, go in the browser, go to EC2, and I refresh now. So it will take few seconds for this role to propagate. So I'll go back to users. I have test user. In test user, there is a role that has been given to it, permissions. And let me go here and have a look. I just created a role for this user. Add permissions, and permissions are policies, and it is EC2 full access, and I say next. It's very strange, it did not attach it. It is attached now. So one policy is added over here. I will go here, I'll refresh the page, and now you will see that this user has got access to EC2. If I go here and I refresh now, see, everything is accessible. If I go to launch instance now and I click that I want to add an instance, now I can see the AMI, everything has come up now, and I can launch the EC2 instance. But at any point of time, if I go here and I say remove policy, policy is removed, refreshed. If I go here and again I go to instance and I go to dashboard and I refresh, see, the API error has started appearing. So very soon everything will be API error because this does not have any policy or any permissions attached to this system. Another thing, If I go here and I say I want to add permissions, and I want to keep permissions from dev group. I don't know what is there in dev group, but let's have a look at what is dev group. So let's go to users group. Let's have a look at dev group. So there is no permissions. There is AWS EC2 full access. So I will go back to IAM. I will go back to users. I will select test user and I'm going to add it to the group. Add user to group. Dev group. Add user to group. And now this user has become part of the group. Since it has become a part of the group, he has access to AWS EC2. If I go to permissions, the permissions have appeared. If I go back here and refresh my page now, I can access the EC2 instance again. So this is a way how we can create or access policies, attach users to policies, or attach roles to users or roles to policies. Okay, so I will also show you another thing over here is if we go back here, we have something which is also known as security credentials. Now security credentials, it is always recommended in the best practice that you should always have a multi-factor authentication assigned to it. So you can use Google Authenticator, you can use Microsoft Authenticator, or any third-party authenticator to assign. To assign the MFA, you click on MFA device. You can use passkey or authenticator, and if you go on next, it will say, let's say iPhone, and you will scan this QR code from your authenticator app, and then it will generate code for you in the span of 30 seconds, and then you will be able to scan or add the multi-factor authentication to your system. So please create a MFA. Now, access keys. You can only create 2 access keys. Access keys are dangerous. Access keys should not be given to anyone. At any point of time, if you think that your access key has been lost, then yes, it is going to be a bit dangerous. They can have access to your resources. Delete your access. So for example, I will say create access keys. It is for CLI. I understand, and I say next, and I say create. So this is your access key, and remember, you will only see it for one time in your life. Click show. This is your secret code. This is the key and this is the secret. Let's launch the CLI. With the access key, you can have access to your resources using CLI. So if I go here and if I'm just waiting for the system to propagate, and once the system is ready, so here it is, I will say now AWS. So AWS is a CLI. It is default installed on your shell. Another way is that you can install your AWS CLI directly from the portal. You can run it from your PowerShell or your Mac terminal. So simply go here and say download AWS CLI. It should be version 2 and above. So if you are installing the latest version, please follow this link, and remember it is separate for Linux, Mac or Windows. So all of them has the link. You can download this and make sure you should be version 2 and above your CLI. Do not install CLI 1. So this is the link to the portal, and you can directly download and install. So type AWS configure. It will say access key ID. This is the access key. Copy it, paste it, And if I say secret key, this is the secret key, and this is the region, and this is the JSON. I'm connected. Now, if I want to do anything onto the system, it will start showing me what is there in the system. So for example, AWS EC2, it will ask me, what do you want to do with EC2? So for example, if I go here and I say AWS CLI EC2 list, I'm just showing it to you how you can look for the commands. So this is the command AWS EC2 describe instances. So I'll simply go here, I'll run the command and I'll say clear, and I'll say AWS EC2 describe and just type tab instances, and it will say it does not have any instance or instances. Then it says you don't have any instance because I've not created any EC2 instance over here. Because I've given only permissions for EC2, so I can only access data for EC2. So this is what it means. So if I say AWS S3 LS, it will say no, maybe I don't have permission. See, you don't have permissions to list buckets. So this is what it means by secret key. This key is only for users to have secret access. Access through CLI, not through console. So programmers, developers, they access the portal using the CLI with the secret access key into the account. This key should never be compromised. So for example, at any point of time, and this is the only time you will see it, if you lose this key or if you don't save it, you will never see it again. So if I click done, now this is created, but I cannot see the key. The only way is you can create no more than 2 keys at any time. You can go to action. You must deactivate the key by clicking here. It is deactivated, status is inactive, and then delete the key if you don't want it. Copy, paste, and type here. It will delete the keys. So key deleted. So this is how you can create users permissions, and this is how you can assign roles or policies directly. This is how you will be able to access your secret access key or your code. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon again.